the okay, so it's the usage of the yep, it is recording. So it's the usage of 강추. So 강추 itself, it talks about how much, but there seems to be usage of this particle in particular manner when they're asking meaning a particular date. But in that case, understood that 강추 is not used as a particle, but two individual word, 강 and 추. So if someone is using this in a sentence that says, "Oh, 두지엔디 강추res," which means when is that? When in how many days or how many weeks or in how many weeks or days or months is this event? So in that case, we use 강추, but this is not the particle. This is two individual words in that case. 강 and 추. In what duration of time will this event happen? So please understand that there will be cases like this in which you will encounter usage of a particular particle that we have discussed, but in a case that seems like, oh, in the class, it was taught that this is used for how much and how many. But in this particular case, it seems that it talks about when. But understand that it does not, it talks about when, but not like kadu. Kadu is a particle that talks directly about, which inquires directly about when. But 강추, it talks about what, after what duration of time will this event happen? Will this event happen? So therefore, it is talking about the amount of duration rather than when. So therefore, this is a clarification that I wanted to make, that if you see the particular particle used in a case that is not discussed in this class, make sure that you share it in the class so that further clarifications can be made. Sometimes, definitely, there are some special cases, but sometimes you see like this, in this case, you see that this is not the particle, but a different word entirely. So please make sure to share those so that everyone can benefit from this. That is the main purpose of the class. So therefore, and so today we're going to study about different names of vegetables. And so to make things more interesting, I always try to include a small dialogue between two of our familiar friends, Dashila and Siringla, so that there is a certain conversation that's happening. Plus, we're also studying the vocabulary, so it helps with the vocabulary. So, and plus, we also try to include the particles so that it becomes an entire package where you have the practice of listening and understanding a conversation. Your vocabulary is improving, as well as you're learning certain things which are related to the conversational structure. Lasso. Okay, so 강사 당보. 뜻이 될 Siringla. So this is greetings, Siringla. So we have already we have already heard this particular greeting many times. 뜻이 될 강사니바, second person. 뜻이 될 뜻이라. 키랑쿠수 세당 인남 인샤레스. So here it's more like saying greetings to Tashila. I'm sure you're doing well. So instead of saying how are you doing, it's more like saying that I'm sure you're doing well. So if you're doing well, you'll say yes, I am. Otherwise, no, I'm not doing well. So la, which is a polite response to acknowledging that you have heard what is said. So it states la. ngaya det it says nga deboyin. So I'm fine. Sring la kukam deboyinam. So here we see that the actual question is asked. So it says Sring la, how are you? So kukam, which means it talks about the physical state when we say kukam. So Sring la kukam deboyinam. So please remember, whenever it's a question, try to use this particular particle, nam. So Sring la kukam deboyinam. So it says, how are you, Sring la? So la ngayan de tao in, which means I am definitely fine and well. So saying like I'm great or I'm definitely fine and well. Tiring ngenika. So ngenika is another way of saying ngeni. So you can either say ngenika, both of us, or we, or you can say ngeni, or you can also say ngatso or ngetso. So let me just write it. You can either say ngatso, or you can say ngetso. Both of these are correct. You can either say ngatso or ngetso. Us or we. So ngenika, ngeni, ngatso, ngetso. So the difference between ngatso, ngetso, ngenika, and ngeni is that when you say ngenika, it always talks about two people. When you say ngatso or ngetso, it may mean two people, two persons, sorry, two people, or it could mean more than two people. So it could be multiple people there. So therefore, it could be us or we in a sense of multiple people, or as just two. But when we say ngenika or ngeni, it's definitely two people here. So tari ngenika chomrar onggote jiinna. So I'm definitely fine and well. Why are we here at the market today? So the person is asking. So Tsiningla is asking, what is the reason? So why are we here at the market today? Nge nika chomrar onggote taring, which is today. Nge nika, which is we or both of us. Chomrar onggote jiinam. Chi is a particle which means why. So so why? Why are we here at the market today? Lexo. So this lexo is an acknowledgement towards the answer, that is ngaya de tauchuin. This doesn't mean it doesn't mean lexo towards the question why we are here. So it is a response to I am definitely fine and well. Ngaya de tauchuin. So lexo, which is great. Lao. So it's like yes. We are here. So ngera tering ngeni. So you can also say ngerani. So ngerani ngenika ngeni. Depends on the length of the particular paragraph. So remember that when a certain type of writing becomes too lengthy or too long, it doesn't seem very good when you read it. It becomes very wordy. So therefore, it's always good to try to make it as concise as possible with as much information as possible. So ngenika and ngeni, you can see that in this particular phrase, it is only a two phrase word, whereas this has it has a three syllable. So therefore, always try to make things as concise as possible. The reason why I used it here is just to show a variation of the usage of ngenika. But sometimes if your actual paragraph is not that lengthy, then definitely you can opt for this particular phrase. But if you feel like your paragraph is too long, then, or whenever you're speaking, if you think that you're speaking too much, then make sure that you use these kind of phrases rather than this. Tering ngeni chomrar tsel nyu cheto inso. We are here today at the market to buy some vegetables. So, che talks about purpose, the purpose of doing something. So, hearing today, ngeni tomrar tsel nyo che to ins, which is today we are here for the purpose of buying vegetables, or we are here to buy some vegetables. Okay, so here the word some is not written here. Tsel kashe, it's not written here, but it's more inferential here. Okay, now the second person, lasso, peya burretu, or sometimes peya burresha. Both of these are correct. You can either say peya burresha or peya burretu, which means it's very good or wonderful. Ngeni tsel taring ngeni taring tsel. So this has to come here. So let me just write it here, because ngeni taring tsel kang tang kang nyogyu in nam. So it states what are the vegetables that we're going to buy today. So what vegetables are we buying today? Ngeni tering tsel kang tang kang nyogyu. So change these two words. Tsel has to come here, tering has to come here. So this is an error here, a mistake here. So please change this. So ngeni tering tsel kang tang kang nyogyu yinnam. So what vegetables are we going to buy today? So Tashila says, lasso. Ta tsela naga mangbu yepar tangbu kashi juna. So Tashila says, since there are many different vegetables, so first let me state some. So from this point we see that we're going to learn names of some of the vegetables that Tashila is going to state. So this particular dialogue exchange that you see here was written for the purpose, so that you can take some of the lines or some of the conversational dialogues from here and use it in your day-to-day life. So sometimes you may find yourself in a condition or circumstance where you're somewhere with a person and you don't know why you are there. So you can ask, why are we here? So in this particular case, we see it's Tomra. So we're going to, we will be learning name of different places. And we have this new method of actually studying it now, because there are these flashcards and other methods that definitely these are not new methods, but I'm getting to know about these slowly. So therefore, there will be more creative ways of teaching you vocabulary. And some of you who have already studied Tibetan, definitely some of these words may seem like the ones that you have already studied. But please bear with me as we're going through this journey of trying to learn how to speak Tibetan. So if it becomes twice, then it means it's a revision. So for those who are learning it for the first time, remember, vocabulary, there is nothing I can do there. The only thing I can do is introduce. After that, it's memorizing. So you'll have to memorize things. And I know that memorizing a lot of things becomes very troublesome, but in certain cases, there's no way past those particular process. Yes, I'm very sorry. I think I have not sent today's lesson. So this is the material for today's lesson. Those who are able to see clearly here, please view it here. Those who are not able to see it clearly to the screen sharing, please check the folder that's been sent in the chat. And very sorry that I was ignorant to this. So please download it from the chat now. So yes, therefore, for the vocabulary, please memorize. And if you want, like in certain time, if you feel like you need to practice this, then definitely you can always read those to me and send me the voice recording. Or much better, I'll probably create, like now I have known this method, I'll probably create certain flashcards which you can use to study. Let's see the possibility with these. So I'll try to create something that's much more interesting to study. Okay. Yes, I have to send it to everyone. So this is something that I always do, which is a mistake. So yes, this is here. Yes, so it's already there. So I think the file is already here, so please download it. Okay, so yes, I will try to create some interesting and creative ways to study the vocabulary. So let's see where it takes us. Let's create a new way to study it. So, okay, now we have names of 20 vegetables here. So the first one is kung lapu. Kung lapu. Kung lapu, which means carrot. The second one is shoko. Shoko. You will hear many Tibetan people use the word alu instead of shoko, but it's shoko. And in some regional dialect, especially from the region that I come from, which is the Kham, we also use the term gatroma. Gatroma. But normally, the more familiar term is shoko. Potato, shoko. Kuntel, which means spinach. Kuntel. Sometimes you will hear many of the people saying palak, which is the influence of the Indian language to the Tibetan language. So we say palak. So it's called kuntel. Then kokpa. Kokpa, which means garlic. Tsong, which means onion. So let me just add an interesting fact to this. So many of you have heard Tsongkhapa, right? Jie Tsongkhapa. And he's called Jie Tsongkhapa because he came from the place called, sorry, not Tsongpa, but Tsongkha. He came from the Tibetan region, a region in Tibet called Tsongkha, which is near Kubum. So from the Kubum region, Kubum is called Kubum. So first, it's just fun fact or extra information. So So if the extra information becomes too much, so please tell me so that we can skip those. But I feel that this is an interesting information. So kubum is called kubum because now this has to do with the more mythical things. So at the time when Je Tsongkhapa, who is the founder of Gelug Tibetan tradition, when he was born, so from his umbilical cord, it is said that a drop of blood hit the ground, and from that very spot where the blood hit the ground, there were a tree a tree grew up, and the tree consisted of 1,000 leaves, upon which sorry, not 1,000, 100,000 leaves, and upon each 100,000 leaves there was the statue of Buddha. Therefore, it's called Kubum. Ku means the idol, Bum means 100,000. So, but now getting back to the main information, Tsongkha. Tsongkha is a village which is in the region of Kubum. So this is where the Je Tsongkhapa was born. So it's called Tsongkha because this particular village was famous for its production of onions. So they produced a lot of onions. So it's called Tsongkha. So therefore, and since he came from this region, he was known as Tsongkhapa. So Je Tsongkhapa. So Tsong, which means onion. Now, Gamu, sometimes also known as Gakya, sometimes Gakya or Gamu. So more familiar one is Gamu. So Gamu, which means ginger. Lapuk. Normally, when Tibetan people say Lapuk, they specifically refer to the daikon radish. So it's specifically referred to the daikon and not other type of radishes. So lapuk means radish. Oh, so we have a mistake here. So it's namasanam. So ma is, so let me just write it here. So very sorry for the typographical mistakes. So sonam benzo. So this is the correct spelling, sonam benzo, which means coriander. Kyutsel, which means chive. And then duluma. So there are two particular terms for this, one American, one British, eggplant and aubergine, and sometimes also called brinjal. So mostly in the India, it's called brinjal. So it's a British influence. So it's mostly called brinjal rather than eggplant. Yuruma, which means turnip. Metopetsil, cauliflower. Gagun, which means cucumber. Teupete, which means broccoli. Solo, which means capsicum. Lokor petel, which is cabbage. Senma, pea. Nyungmar, beet root. Mame loto, corn or maize. So mame means something that is born or something that grows without actually needing to plant them. So mame means something that grows without needing them to be planted by hands, like by humans. So it grows by itself. So mame lotok, corn or maize. So American and British. Shamo, which is mushroom. So sometimes I personally refer this as shamo, right? So mongba. Mongba means to be delusioned. So shamon means something that is confused with meat. So shamon, but the actual spelling is shamo. So therefore, like the particular word that I have requested most of you to use, which is lenke instead of lenge, there are certain reasons why I use these terms, even though the spelling is different from the one. And these are my personal preferences. And for the particular word lenke, which I have asked you to use as much as possible for the duration of conversation class, I will be providing a very good reason at the end. So therefore, shamo, for me particularly, I say shamo because it's not a meat, but the thing is that when you cook it, it gives a certain type of experience that it tastes similar to meat. So therefore, understand that shamo, for me particularly, is because of that particular reason, but the actual spelling is shamo. So those who think that the reasons are valid and would like to use it you're free to use the terms, but it's better to use the actual term. So shamo in some cases. So shamo, which is mushroom. So the 20 vegetables, kung labuk, carrot, kung lapuk. So it's kung lapuk, carrot, shokok, potato, shokok, potato, kuntel, spinach, kuntel, spinach, kokpa, garlic, kokpa, garlic, zong, onion, zong, onion, gamhuk, ginger, gamhuk, ginger, lapuk, radish, lapuk, radish. So when we say lapuk, normally we refer to the daikon radish. Sunam penzom. So the spellings in the chat. Sunam penzom, coriander, güzel, chive, güzel, chive, doluma, eggplant, aubergine, or brinjal, doluma, eggplant, aubergine, or brinjal, yurma, turnip, metok petzl, cauliflower, metok petzl, cauliflower, gagun, cucumber, tiu petzl, broccoli, solo, capsicum. So the green capsicum is known as solo hombo. Hombo means green. So normally green, not the hombo, which is that's blue, but this is solo capsicum, lokor pete, cabbage, senma, pea, nyungmar, beetroot, mame loto, corn, maize, mame loto, corn or maize, shamo, mushroom. Sometimes also the other term that they use is sersha, which is also mushroom. But it should not be mistaken with another thing, which is called chusha, which is the which we call the mokro. It's like it's more or less like a mushroom which grows underwater or near the water. It's black in color. So that's called shusha, but that's different from shamo, which is mushroom. Okay, so these are the 20 vegetables. And please study these, and I will create flashcard for each of these so that we can have quiz every week. So two important announcements. One is that you know the text that was sent to you. So we will have uh, a memorization test starting from next week for one person randomly chosen for each class, so that we will dedicate 10 minutes for the person to read the text that was sent. Not the second one. I sent two texts. The first one, and I've read it. So it's the Karakushushese. So it's like, I think at most it's like 8 to 9 lines. So please memorize this, and we will have a test during our class on, it's probably on Tuesday. So we'll have the test during the Tuesday. So one person will be randomly chosen. So we will, at the beginning of the class, we'll have them choose a number. And then here I have a random number generator. So we can generate a number, and then we'll have a test. So please don't worry about the exams. Please do as best as you can. And yes, once we have, once we're have understood that probably half of the class have already memorized it, then we'll have, you can start memorizing the second text. And then once we're done with the first one, then I'll send the, so now we have done for the ka, then it goes to ka, and it's all the way to a. So there are 30 different alphabet, and we have the same thing for all the 30. So let's see if we're able to finish it by the time we have for the conversation class. But we'll try our best. So please memorize that too. And the other thing is that now that we have these flashcard and other methods of creating quiz, we'll have a weekly quiz. Nothing too difficult. It's more it has to do more with the vocabulary. But if you're up to date with most of the assignments, then I don't think there will be a problem. So please make sure that you revise. And if you don't understand, definitely ask me questions in the class group, or you can directly send me a message in WhatsApp. So make sure. So these are the 20 vegetables. Now the 4 particles. The first one, chichir or kangchir, these are the same. So later you'll understand that kang is a particle that can be used for any sort of interrogation. So it's a all-pervasive particle when it comes to interrogation. So chichir or kangchir means why. So when you use chichir, it's a question that asks why. So chichir me yöpa, which is, why did you know there is a fire? So please remember, to say why did you know there is a fire, and to say how did you know there is a fire is a different sentence here. So therefore here it means why, it doesn't mean how. So chichir me yöpa, that is why some, sorry, you can add some at the end, which makes it a question. So chichir me yöpa, why did you know there is a fire? So chichir or kangchir is used in a sentence when you have to ask a why question. So if okay, so chichir kala masa, which means, why are you not eating food? Or chichir cha tsapu metong, why are you not drinking the tea when it's warm? Or why are you not drinking the warm tea? Why are you letting it cool? So that's more inferential to that sentence. So teacher is always why, and you have to ask a why question. Chetu means for the purpose of. Sim gawe chetu shenyin. Listen to the song to feel happy, or listening to the song to feel happy. So the purpose. So we can actually translate it in a way to say that listening to the song for the purpose of feeling happy. So we see for the purpose of Kang Chetu. Now this becomes a question asking what is the purpose? But if we use Chetu as it is, then it's stating a purpose. It's stating the purpose for which something is done. So Sim Gawi Chetu Shenyin. Listening to the song for the purpose of feeling happy. So Kang Senna, to tell you what, but to be understood as to tell you why. So directly it translates as to tell you what, but it should be understood as to tell you why, because it's stating a reason. To tell you why there is no school today is because today is Sunday. So there is a statement of a reasoning. So the first is the particle, and the first statement, which is the statement which is stated before the usage of this particle. So before the usage of this particular particle, which is this first statement, that is is a statement that tells us that there is no school today. And because of this particle, what happens is that we join the statement with the reasoning of why the statement is. And that is the reasoning. And that is the reason why, even though can be is directly translated to tell you what, but it should be understood as to tell you why. Because it brings in a reasoning rather than bringing in an object or a phenomena. So whenever we say what, to tell you what, is normally to give a suggestion or something, which is a statement that's not a reasoning, but a statement that has to do with an affirmation of one's suggestion. But in this particular case, we see that it doesn't have to do with any affirmation of suggestion, but rather it is a sentence that tries to bring in a reasoning for the first statement. That is why, even though it is directly translated to tell you what, but it has to be understood as to tell you why. So, to tell you why there is no school today is because today is Sunday. So we're bringing in reasoning here. Okay. That is, the reason is. So this particle states the reason is. And this is a particle that directly means the reason is. So it brings in the reasoning for the particular scenario, circumstance, or a statement. So even though if we were actually studying this particular case, these particular particles in grammar, I would always refer it to as statements. But since this is a conversation class, therefore I'll generalize it. And instead of saying statement, I will use terms such as circumstances or conditions. So the reasoning is given for a certain circumstance or condition or a statement. So chu tong mi rong we kyum sen ni ten ni cha chu yin par re. So This states that the reason why ocean water is not suitable for consumption is that, or drinking. So consumption is a more broader term, so we can say drinking, is that the ocean water is salt water. So the reason why it becomes unsuitable, it becomes not suitable for drinking, is because it is ocean water. So the reasoning that it is a ocean water is brought by the particular particle, which is gyumsen-ni. So gyumsen-ni states the reason is. So therefore, this is how each of these particles are used and should be understood. So if you see certain scenarios where they are used in cases which are not stated here, make sure that you share it in the class group, and we can have a discussion and clarification on it. So remember, if there is always something that is either something that is not stated here, or sometimes maybe contradictory to what is stated here, make sure that you share it in the class so that we can discuss it, and we can try to understand it and why certain things why certain contradiction has happened, or in some case it may seem like a contradiction, but it may not be. So therefore, we can discuss everything in the class group, or you can state it there, you can write it there, and we can bring it to the class and have a wonderful discussion on that and actually learn still more from it. So these are the 4 particles, and these are the 20 vegetable, and this is a small conversation or dialogue exchange, so that you can actually still take some of the dialogues from here and use it into your day-to-day. Make sure that as each class is happening, you're able to adapt few of the lines in each script, so that you can speak at the end of the course. At the end of the course, the most important thing, definitely you can enrich your vocabulary and everything, but the most important thing is for you to have the basic, for you to have the ability to carry on a basic conversation. So this is basic. After that, we will move on to intermediate, then to more advanced conversation. So definitely by the end of the entire course, you will be able to carry out a normal conversation. But still, it's important to start from the most basic, which is to say, oh, I want this, or to be able to go to a restaurant and order something at a Tibetan restaurant and order something. And make sure that if you don't get the pronunciation, ask me. Ask me for the pronunciation. If you want the transliteration, I'll provide you the transliteration. If you want the voice recording, I'll provide you the voice recording. But at the end of the course, make sure that you're pronouncing everything as near as possible to the correct pronunciation. So I particularly have a great emphasis on pronunciation. I make sure that people pronounce things correctly. So please make sure that you ask me for the recordings, for the transliteration, or anything that helps you with the pronunciation, so that at the end of the course, you're pronouncing it correctly. And yes, you can pronounce it like a native person if you practice enough. With the help of transliteration and recordings, you can do that, and it will happen eventually. So therefore, make sure that you ask me for the transliteration, you ask me for the recordings. You have to tell me if you need a certain recording or transliteration to help you pronounce things better. So without hesitation, make sure that you ask me for those things, and I'll share it in the class group so that everyone can benefit from it. So that is one thing. And those of you who feel that you're unable to pronounce the basic sounds, make sure that you notify me, you tell me, and then I will provide you with the recording of the combination of vowels and consonants and those other affixes, those head join and subjoin letters. And then you have those reverse letters. If you have so when I say pronouncing the basic characters, I also mean those reverse letters. Let me just write it here, like this ones, or this ones. So if you're unable to pronounce these ones, make sure that you tell me, and I will provide you with a voice recording for this particular reverse letters. There aren't many reverse letters, but they have a very particular sound. So make sure that you ask me for that if you don't know how to pronounce them. So whatever which is Tibetan and you're having problem pronouncing, make sure that you notify me. And I will provide you with both. If you want transliteration, I'll provide you with transliteration. If you want voice recording, I'll provide you with voice recording. But make sure that afterwards you revise well, and at the end of the day, send me a recording pronouncing it so that I can correct it. So therefore, so this is the lesson for today. But before we go to the question answer session, I have created something. Nothing. So I have created a small quiz for everyone. So let me just open up the quiz. And those who want to answer it may just raise their hand. So Tuatine, so it's a quiz. So it's a quiz, and I got this idea from the quiz section that was shared in the class group. So thank you very much for sharing that. And I got the idea of making the small quiz so that I can have a surprise test today. So so the quiz is simple. It's just here, it's just some words and some honorifics that I will be asking. So those who know the answer, please raise your hand and you can answer this. So the first question is this word. What is the honorific for this word? What is the honorific for the word nose? So who knows the answer? You may either speak or you may write the answer in the chat. So who knows the answer to yes? Shang. Okay. Now, so today's test is a little difficult. So what is the spelling of Shang? No. You said shashakyu, then it becomes shu, but you said shang. So shang doesn't have any vowel, right? So what is the spelling of shang? No. So sha dengbu makes it she, but you pronounce it as sha. Okay, so someone okay, so let me answer this after this. So shang, what is the spelling of shang? So does so does anyone wants to try shang? So shang is the correct answer. But see, if you add shakyu, it becomes shu. If you add dengbo, it becomes she. Yes, so the answer is shang, shang.
Yes, I'm wrong.
So this is shang.
Okay.
Sa, shang, sa, shang. Or you can pronounce it as shang, se, shang. Lasso. Tujinang. Now, who is going to answer this? What is the honorific of na? Ranatana. What is the honorific of Ranatana?
Nyen.
And spelling? Spelling of nyen?
Nyananyen.
Okay, so this is an alternative spelling. So what is the spelling that was written in the text that I have shared? So
Akuma
nyan and nyen,
songunta.
lasso. So who wants to try? Nyen?
Sa nhà ta nhá
Hmm?
nà nhân
Yes. So
nhân
sanyata nyana nyen. So nyana nyen is also correct. So understand that nyen is also correct. It's an alternative. So nyen chok, when you say nyen chok, nyana nyen is written. And sanyata nyana nyen is also correct. So both of these are correct. Okay, wonderful. Now, who's going to answer this? Tilwa, which means forehead. Tilwa. So what's the honorific for Tilwa?
Utra
Utal. And spelling?
Cá Cá Cháu
Hmm?
Cá Sạp Chiu
Hmm?
Ú
Hmm?
Cháu
Hmm?
Cá Là Ta Lá Cá
Hmm?
Là Ta Tel Utel
Yes, Utal. Okay, so this is correct. Lasso, Utal. Now, Lakpa. Who's going to answer this? What's the honorific for Lakpa? So anyone who wants to answer this? Yes.
Check.
And spelling?
Check. Chayata chaga check.
No. There you cannot have yata with cha. So what's the spelling of chak? The answer is correct, but what is the spelling? Chak.
It's not payata cha.
It's yes, so it's very close. It's so the pronunciation is payata. So payata chaka chak.
That's all.
Okay, lasso. So chak. Now kangbe senmo. What is the honorific for kangbe senmo? So what is the honorific for kangbe senmo?
Sạp Sen
And spelling?
Sạp Hà Sa Sạp
Hmm? And
Sa
sen?
Sa Đình Cơm Nà Sen
Starting with sen as sen. Shavsen. Okay. Now mik. What is the honorific for mik?
Chen.
And spelling?
Payata chan na chen.
No, not payata. Yes, this is correct. So it's sapata payata chana chen. So there is a sa at the top. So sapata payata chana chen. Okay, chen. Now ta. What is the honorific of ta? Ta, which means hair. So what's the honorific? So anyone wants to try? Ta.
Utra
And the spelling?
Cháu Cá Sạp Chiu Ú Ú Sa
Yes.
Sa Dạ Ta Dạ Cả Ta Lá Ta
Okay, so Uta is correct. So let me read it for you. Tau. So always pronounce this as wa. Tau wa shakyu wu. So even though it is pa, but here it's pronounced as wa. Tau wa shamchu wu. Sakata karatata. Sakata karatata. Uta. Tau wa shakyu wu. Sakata karatata. Uta. Which is hair. Okay, wonderful. Now you have to say the English for this satawa. What is English term for satawa?
Sakamun.
Satawa is
Monday.
Sakamun.
Monday, right? It's Monday. And what is Thursday in Tibetan?
Samikma.
Sapupu.
Sapupu.
Sapurpu, right? Correct. And what is dinner in Tibetan?
Gongmo. Gongmo.
No. Gongmo is night. What is dinner?
Ninku.
No. Gondakala. Yes, it's we can say Gondakala, but what is the term that we have written in the text for dinner?
Gongzhou-kala?
No, not Gongdokala. So Gongmokala, Gongdokala both are correct, but we have used yes, Gongse, Gongse. So can anyone tell me the spelling of Gongse?
Gongse is thấu khá naro khô ngà khốn sa sa se se.
Perfect. So Gongse. Now Sunday. What is the Tibetan word for Sunday?
Sanyima.
Perfect. And spelling of Sanyima?
Khẩu. Sa. Sa. Nha. Nha. Gitu nhi. Nima.
Wonderful.
Nima.
Sanyima. And now, what's the word for breakfast?
Shokja.
Yes,
Shokja.
shokja is correct. But we have used another word for this in the text. I'm very sorry. So what's the word we have used in the text? So dinner was gongse. So breakfast is?
Shokse.
Shokse. And the spelling?
Spelling is shok sho naro sho ga sa shok and za se sa.
Yes, so shanaro shok hasa shok sasa se shokse. That's all. Now this is the final one, week. What is the Tibetan word for week? 1 week, 2. Dunta. Okay. And what's the spelling of dunta?
Tarata. Ta.
Duntak. Duntak. So what's the spelling of dun? Number 7. Dun.
Tarata. Ja. Rata. Ja. Jakyu. Tu. Na. Tun.
So it's po. Okay. So yes, both of these are correct. Po. Po. Tashakyu dun na dun. So you can see here. Po. Tashakyu dun na dun. Parata taka tak dun tak. Po tashakyu dun na dun. Parata taka tak dun tak. And what is the other word for week that we have studied? So one cycle of all day. So one entire complete cycle of a day. 7 days. Yes. So this is sakor. Ko sa sa. Ho kanaro kor kor. Kor means a cycle. Sa means the day. So an entire cycle of a day is sakor. Duntak. Po dashabyu dunatun. Paratatak duntak. So wonderful. Most of the answers were correct. And the spellings are also correct. So please continue working on these and get used to the spelling and the pronunciation. So wonderful. And we'll create, now that I have known this trick, I will create more flashcards so that you can learn every day these flashcards. So it's more creative and it's more appealing, it seems. And now, if you have any questions, so the first question that was asked was Nika tang nikar tönda jikpa retam kain senna tang gyumsen ni kebar kang retam. Okay, so Nika tang nikar. So Nika and nikar are different. But these are different because you see that when we have Nika and Nika, these, so this is the correct spelling if you have to just say Nika, but here it's an exception because you're using a particle, Nikar. So that's why there is an exception where the addition of the prefix comes here. So Nikar is with the particle of La that we will study in the grammar. It comes with the, so Nikar comes with the particle. So let me just write it here. So the question states Nika and Nikar. So you will see that Nikar has a Ra, which is a particle, grammatical particle, which is not here. So therefore, this is different. The first one is us. The second one is like Nikala. So to us. So there's addition of to. So that's the difference. And Kain and not Gumseni. So these are quite similar. So to tell you the reason, or the reason is, so that's the only difference. Mostly they can be used in similar scenario, and they both function as a conjunction. So therefore, it's almost the same. Lasso, any questions regarding today's lesson? If you have any question, please ask away.
Yes, Genla, I have question.
Yes, Lasso.
It's about Chedu. Like there are two examples. Like first examples you gave is Tselnyo Chedu.
Back to, yes, let me open this Chedu. Yes, here. Are you able to see it?
No.
Or let me just do. Okay, now you're able to see it, right?
Yes. First example, it comes from the small talk. Like almost at the end, like daring ngeni tim tomra tselnyo chedu. Tselnyo chedu. And second example is you gave is sem gawi chedu. So in the second example, there is the particle a gigu i. So when we put this and when we don't put this in the verb.
Okay. So your question is the usage of this particle, right?
Yes, before chedu.
So the particle hakigui, this actually doesn't depend on the usage of chetu. So chetu is a completely different particle. So this will depend on what we are stating here. So the thing is that what it does is that it actually creates a relation between this particular result and this reasoning. So semgawa, which means to become happy. So what it does is that it creates a relation between So here, this is the relation of action and result. So what is the action? The action is shenyin, to listen. And what is the consequence? Simka, which is to feel happy. So here we see that we have two particles which comes one after another. The first particle is wahakyukuwe. The second particle is chetu. So what it does is that it connects the two statements, which is semka and chetu shenyin, which means to feel happy, listening to song to feel happy. So if you want to, so in this particular case, we see that there is a relation built between the result and the action. But in this particular thing, which is tromrar cel nyotu chin or cel nyotu in. So here we see that there is no particle before cel, and that is cel is not a result; it is an object. Therefore, we don't have the relation of result and action here. Therefore, we don't have the particle. So in case where we have to have a relation between action and the result, we use the particle. If we don't have the relation of action and result, so this relation is not just action and result. There are actually 5 different cases for this particular thing that we will learn in detail in the grammar class. But this has to do with the usage of that particular particle and has nothing to do with chetu. But if we still want to emphasize, it's the action of buying a vegetable. So there is no particle here because there is no action that has a consequence here. There is just action and the purpose of the action. So the action is to buy vegetable, and therefore the purpose of us being here is to buy vegetable. So that is the particular structure here. And the other thing is that here we have this chetu at almost the end, which is followed just by yin. So you see that it is just him, and since it's just him, there is no other statement that acts as an action that has a result. So therefore, there is no particle of relation here. So this is known as particle of relation. And there are 5 different relations that we will study in the grammar class. Here it's the action and the result relation. So that is why we have wa hakyukuwe. And please remember that this has nothing to do with chetu. But still, if you want to have certain reasoning with the chetu, we will say that it's used here because the action is stated after chetu, and therefore the result is stated before chetu, and therefore we need to have something that binds the relation between these two, action and result. Whereas in this example, we don't have any action that comes after chetu. So therefore, we don't need a particle that binds the reasoning of action and result. So if you still want to have certain, if you want to still want to impute certain reasoning towards using the particle with chetu, that can be done in that manner. But in the most general sense, we will say it has nothing to do with chetu. It was just the usage of the particle in a particular usage of relation, which is action and result relation.
Lasso, tuchenang.
Lasso, Indang. And any other questions? So I'll take one more question before we call it a day. So one more question.
Genla, I have one question.
Lasso. Okay.
Hello. Genla, can you go to the last page in the particle? Yeah. Here the Gangyin Zerna and Kyuchen, this sounds very similar, no, with reason.
Yes. Yes.
So
And it is used quite similarly. So you'll see that even though it's two particle, it's particle only as the appearance, but not as the main the meaning, because you'll see that both of them has quite a similar meaning and the usage is quite the same, which is as conjunction.
So can it be
Right.
used interchangeably?
So yes, in most cases it can. Yes, it can be used interchangeably.
Okay.
Yes, less so.
Thank you. Lasa, Suchina.
Less so. So if there is one more question, I'll take, because yes, just one more question. Less so.
It is about Nini.
Okay, ngeni. Less so.
Yeah. Sometimes I hear Tibetan people say ngani. That's okay. Can use.
Yes, this is also okay. Ngani. This is also okay. Ngani. Ngani or nganika is also correct. So we have already discussed this in past classes. We said nga, nge can be used interchangeably. So these both are same. So nge or nga. So ngeni, ngani, ngenika, nganika is the same. So okay, so we will call it a day here. And if you have more questions, please use the class group. We can also discuss it in the class group. And so there are some vegetables name with picture that is sent in the class group. So thank you very much for that. So you can also study it from here. And you can also study it from the text that is sent, plus the flashcard that I will be creating now that I have access to that. And I'll see many different creative ways to introduce learning so that it will be more interesting as we continue learning. So make sure you study, and we will have quiz, weekly quiz, and we will have exams for memorizing. So please memorize, please study the text, and if you have questions, please ask me so that I can clarify. And I will check these. Names so that every one of these are correct, so that you will be studying the correct spelling. And this is it for today. And thank you for joining in. And I will, so for some who are joining me for the grammar class, I will see you on Monday. For the conversation class, I will see you on Tuesday, most probably on Tuesday. If not on Tuesday, then on Wednesday. So it will depend. So therefore, I will see you all there, and please revise and yes, and ask me questions if you have doubts. So this is it for today.